presented earlier a little bit on the medium-term outlook for the Irish beef sector. In terms of the long-term supply, thankfully we have seen a bit of a recovery in terms of the numbers of breeding animals. At the end of the year, the latest figures based on the department's AIM profile and ICBF's analysis are that we have about 0.5% less suckler cows in the country. That represents a pretty good recovery in comparison to we've been seeing year-on-year declines of 2.5% and 3% and even up to 4% in certain years, even in the not too far away history there. So hopefully the higher prices that we have seen in the last year can encourage a bit more stability. That optimism and those higher prices will encourage greater profitability and allow farmers to have more confidence, reinvest in their production, in their enterprises, and just have that bit more, confidence in their enterprise. I suppose the other part of my presentation earlier was in relation to consumer reaction and the impact that beef inflation has had on demand for our important, Irish beef exports. And while we have seen some resistance there on the part of consumers, actually it is reassuring to see that the vast majority of shoppers continue to purchase beef, while they have traded down somewhat, and their tendency has been to buy more of the cheaper formats, the mince, the burgers, and the diced beef. Actually, the actual percentage declines in volume terms are not that significant. That you're looking at a 30% approximately increase in the average price of a kilo of beef at supermarket level. And, overall, the volume decline has been less than 10%. While overall the numbers of animals exported live in 2025 were back slightly, we had exported just over 380,000 in 2024. That was back to just over 350,000. So a reduction of about 8%. But within that, there were a couple of successes. One would have been the calf exports. That calf exports last year were the highest that they have been in recent years at over 220,000. And that came on the back of maybe at the start of the year, a bit of fear or apprehension that the Dutch market wouldn't be active, that they had decided that they weren't going to source calves from any of the countries that were a bit further away. That decision was reversed effectively because there was an acute scarcity, both within the Netherlands and coming from other suppliers as well too, including in Germany. So the Irish calves actually were an important part of their supply, and continue to perform very, very well over there. So we have a number of engagements with those Dutch customers over the coming months, but there's every hope that we'll be able to continue to maintain that important outlet. Similarly, Spain and Italy, Poland all performed well throughout the calf season. While prices on average that are being quoted in those markets are back somewhat, like it's too early to tell yet. We really will see the bigger numbers coming out obviously in March and in April when those calves kind of come to the export stage, and hopefully at that stage markets will be performing well. And the kind of threat in the longer term would be this review that is taking place within the EU of our transport regulations. And the proposals currently, which are sitting within, I suppose, the EU Council and the Parliament, are that the stock and densities on board the trucks would be reduced significantly. That there are also proposals in relation to the transport times and even in relation to feeding during the journey, which would involve investment in feeding technology on board the trucks. So those things would have the potential to have a significant impact on our calf exports in particular. And, given the fact that the calves represent almost 2/3 of our live exports, that is something that we have to look closely at.